Hey, everybody, welcome back into another edition of the DrBicuspid.com podcast. Excited today to continue the Cellerant CEO podcast series that we have been doing for a number of months now. And I'm thrilled to welcome in Eddie Kolos with H2Ocean. Eddie, how are you? Hey, excited to have you on. Here's the product right here. I've been lucky enough to actually try it myself. Love it already, but we're going to get into that in just a minute. But before we do, Eddie, I'd love for the audience to know a little bit more about you and maybe H2Ocean as well.
Yeah, so years ago, I was really fond of doing marine biology work and learning about the ocean benefits, and then taking care of the marine aquarium business. And then I learned a lot about that, and then I got into doing sun care products for many years for a big brand. And then I had this idea after knowing that some of the ingredients that are chemically made in these sun care products were actually doing more harm than good in, the skincare and keeping you from getting cancer. And so I always wanted to kind of balance the body, just like I balanced the aquarium business, and putting in ingredients that are only going to be beneficial. Ingredients are better. Didn't want to have allergic reactions happen to anybody or any problems health wise. And I created the very first brand called H2Ocean, which is ocean water. And I went for a patent, and I got a patent on sea salt water and any other mineral or ingredient to make products that are basically ocean-based or plant-based. So back when natural products were really hard to sell to doctors and everything, and just started my company with a first aid spray. And then I found the tattoo and piercing market, where we had to actually build on some kind of niche market, do some studies. And I knew that even dentists recommended saltwater rinses. Even grandma's home remedy was, gargle with salt water if you ever had a problem. So I knew there was a big need for somebody to come out with, the right elements and make sure that it was easily to use and tasteful. And I created one of our first mouthwashes was the Arctic Ocean Mint. And then soon after that was the lemon flavor, which, lemon with salt, kind of like your daiquiris, but even polar ice feel also freshened your breath, and with the vitamin contents. And we use all natural ingredients. So it's important to know we're not using natural flavors or artificial flavors. We're using the actual real lemons sourced from the right place. Then I brought xylitol into the mix too, years and years ago, where even dentists didn't even know what xylitol was. I brought that into the marketplace too as well. And lysozyme, which is a very important enzyme that our body produces and lives in our saliva, our tears, our saltwater system in our body. And Alexander Fleming discovered lysozyme, but then he went on to make a drug, which was the first antibiotic, that was penicillin. So I took all these great ingredients and worked really hard on formulation. So I'm a formulator, and I tried to create something that was going to help a lot of people heal faster. That's why it's called the healing rinse.
Well, like I said, I love it. I think it's great. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you about was, I know so many entrepreneurs always have a vision for what they want. And again, it became a reality. But what are some of the biggest lessons you learned along the way in order for this product to actually be available and in people's hands?
I mean, it was a challenge because even, water in a bottle, everyone thought, why would you buy bottled water? It's free. We used to drink it out of the faucet as a young kid, and salt water, which we have, 70% of the earth is salt water. Why would anybody buy salt water too? We can get it for free. But not all salt is the same. And when you formulate something, you're creating something that is new. So even taking one ingredient out of the mix is not going to work the same as the synergy of the one product together. So the challenges were to get it, tested, and also getting the consumers to understand that, this is something that is definitely a need for preventing and for aftercare for all the procedures. It's just going to be easier for dentists to say, this is what I recommend, rather than giving some kind of drug that's possibly going to be harming the microbes in your mouth, which is very important, which I've spoke about many times, just getting the word out is probably the most challenging way to get your business going, but also to make sure that there's safety standards behind it too as well.
What are some of the challenges maybe? And I know you mentioned, people buying salt water, but what are some of the challenges maybe in not only reaching the dentist community, but also the patients so that they can be asking about it when they go into the practice?
Well, I think just the challenge I had is, where do I put all these, advertisers and people that tell you that they can get you a big, audience and then get it on the shelves. We even tried to get it into the chain stores, but if people don't know what it is on what you're selling, I believe it just gets passed by. And with all this new stuff that's coming up, I was kind of surprised to start seeing sea salt on the labeling, and that's because sodium chloride, which is our table salt, is just a weak chemically made ingredient that's mined out of the ground, but stripping all the minerals, making it white, making it not cakey, putting anti-caking, all those things are not going to help you with your body's ecosystem. So it's better to have something that's going to provide you 82 trace elements and minerals that your body needs for it to work as an ecosystem, because our body's an ecosystem. So is the earth, on this earth that's living. So the challenges were to get people to understand that, but it's gotten, having something like what I've created that I went for a patent was a novelty. And so people just didn't understand it in the very beginning, but now they're starting to understand it. So it was just the time that it took to get to now where people understand sea salt is much healthier for you than just regular salt. And then, you know, people are not reading the labels. They're basically just seeing what's on the front, and they see, dyes, which are nice, colorful. Marketing is all about, getting it in front of an audience and making it fun and, trendy. And I just thought keeping it clean, just basic things that are needed in there, less ingredients makes more sense. So, and I think the world is starting to actually shape into what I believed from years ago, that less ingredients is better, but also what ingredient to put in there, because, there's different types of sea salt. So we use the Red Sea, and that's the best sea salt in the world. The Red Sea is the saltiest sea, and it's also part of the ocean. And the ocean has its own cleaning and mineral content is, important to keep that clean, balanced in your bodies. Like when you test your blood, you're testing for the minerals to see what your imbalance is that might be making your health poor, or the symptom that you might have. And usually, if you can actually do some of the things to prevent the health from actually going bad, is by choosing the product that you would use daily.
Makes sense. I want to ask you about you for just a moment. I mean, the entrepreneur mindset, is that something that you were born with, developed over time? How did you kind of become who you are as this business leader?
Well, I think early on, even talking about it with over Easter, there was, I started doing business when I was 14. So the work ethic, you have to work hard on anything. And it was not always about money. It was just exciting for me to actually do something and earn something. And earning respect is one of the things that I kind of looked forward to always, and just work hard. It's not an easy thing. A lot of people don't have the same worth ethic. They get lazy. They kind of quit before they get there. They'll go to the almost to the finish line, but don't finish things. And I think that's what really sets some of the top entrepreneurships out there to the rest of the world. And, there's times where you work hard and you party hard, yes, when you're younger, but then when you have a family and you really are expected to provide, then your life changes, and that's going to happen. And I think you just set goals and you feel like you're doing the right thing, even if your family tells you you might be losing all your money and you're wasting your time. You have to feel it inside and just go for it. And that's what I think it's kind of the inventor mind or the entrepreneur mindship, like just go for it and continue your research and development of whatever you believe in.
You mentioned that you've done some work with aquariums, you got into the tattoo industry, things like that. What's maybe one of the biggest lessons you've learned about the dental industry now that you've been working with it for some time?
Well, I believe the dental industry was kind of difficult because there's so many big brands that monopolized themselves, even at the big shows, to where they hire a bunch of people that really don't know what the difference is in the products. So they were told that they might be using the best, but they really, to me, felt like they didn't do enough research to find out what are the best alternatives out there. And when I brought lysozyme and xylitol into one of the biggest dental shows, everybody was saying, where's your white papers? Well, I had plenty of research on the xylitol, but I don't believe anybody paid attention to it. But after a big market, it changed.
Is there a certain quote or book or anything that kind of motivates you and kind of resonates with you every day to get you up and get you going and keep on your path?
I think there's, a lot of things that would get me on my path. And it's the people that work here that I've trained at the office. I always want to show that I can work as hard or harder than them just to show that the worth ethic that you put into something resonates with your company. And I believe we have a really good group of people, and just knowing that we're saving lives or helping people with their symptoms is what drives me to work harder and just learn whatever you possibly can. So, I mean, the internet nowadays is full of information. And 25 years ago, when I started, there wasn't much of an internet. So there was a lot of research being done through experience and through hard work from the other jobs that I've had. I wouldn't say that there was one book that helped me out. It was just a lot of information out there to gather from the internet, which made it more easy. And now with AI, there's things that you can even ask AI about ingredients and safety, and will also help you learn easier. But the hard thing is the manufacturing made it much, much harder because they only want to deal with the big boys now. And a lot of them are getting bought out. And so it's hard to actually get a startup. And even now I'm building new manufacturing facilities just as to have our own new products that we're coming out with, not giving that information out to somebody else that might just say, okay, well, we'll we'll make this product and we'll figure out how to make it cheaper and make mistakes. And so there's a lot of mistakes that have happened either through packaging and manufacturing that kind of will discourage you. But if you find that problem and solve it is what is going to make you successful.
Well, Eddie, I've enjoyed the peek behind the scenes, not only with you, but the product as well. And I want to make sure people know where do they learn more about H2 Ocean?
We sell it on Amazon's bestseller, and then you could find us also on H2Ocean.com or oralcare.h2ocean.com. And just Google our name, H2 Ocean. You'll see a lot of blogs and research and press release. We're really excited where we're going, and we're helping a lot of people out. A lot of good remedies for any kind of healing needs that you need. We have like 45 different products now, and we're going to continue to build on the H2 Ocean brand.
Well, best of luck as you keep building that brand. And we're going to put all those links, just so you know, in the show notes. And if you're watching this on Dr. Bicuspid, it's in the article. So really easy for you to find more out about H2 Ocean. So, Eddie, thanks so much for the time and the look behind the scenes. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And thanks to all of you for listening to this episode of the DrBicuspid.com podcast as we continue the Cellerant CEO series, giving you that peek behind the curtain of what makes these products really come to life. Until next time, it's Kevin Henry, editor in chief for Dr. Bicuspid, signing off. And as always, wishing you nothing but success.